Well, let's get to our first conversation this afternoon. Now, United Capital Group, Nigeria's leading investment banking and financial services institution, has taken a major step in its Pan-African expansion with the official launch of its West African office, United Capital Assets Management West Africa Limited, in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Now, this expansion marks a significant milestone for the group, as the United Capital is the first Nigerian investment management group to be licensed by the Financial Markets Authority of West African Economic and Monetary Union. Now, the group now has license to conduct investment management services, portfolio management, mutual funds, financial advisory in Benin, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and Togo, with Abidjan as its regional headquarters. Now, United Capital is strategically positioned to deliver world-class financial services tailored to the region's dynamic economic landscape. Well, the special guest at that event, Mr. Tony Elumelu, chairman of Hers Holdings Group, in his goodwill message, commended the milestone as a history in making, emphasizing the group's consistency in championing African excellence, leveraging African resources, and building ecosystems that empower Africans. My guest is Ejikeme Okoli. He is Director, African Operations, United Capital PLC. Thank you so much, Ejikeme. It's good to have you live in our Eco-Atlantic studio. It's good to see you.
Good to see you here as well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to say congratulations to you. This is a giant step, I must say. You know, having the first licensed subsidiary outside Nigeria. Now, let me ask you, what does this expansion to Côte d'Ivoire, what does it mean for United Capital? And of course, why is it significant at this time?
Thank you. It means a lot to us. First, it's our first licensed business outside of Nigeria. Prior to now, United Capital, because we've always been Pan-African in our approach to business, we've always done landmark transactions outside Nigeria, especially on the capital raising side. But many investors and stakeholders will see that as more transactional. With this, establishing a major footprint in the economic nerve center of the West African Economic and Monetary Union signifies our approach to deploying patient long-term capital that would unlock value in African economies, because it's in line with our philosophy of improving lives and transforming the continent. But
why Côte d'Ivoire? What makes the market strategic for United Capital?
Okay, Côte d'Ivoire is strategic. First, as the nerve center of the WAEMU zone, which is the West African Economic and Monetary Union. It's home to one of the best performing regional stock exchanges in Africa. If you look at many of the top 5, I would say Nigeria, Johannesburg, Casablanca, and Kenya, because of currency volatilities in the last 5 years, many of those markets haven't performed optimally in dollar terms. So when you rebase the local currencies into USD, you will see that the performance has wobbled. But for Côte d'Ivoire and of course the broader West African and Economic and Monetary Union, you would see that because of its stable currency, the returns there are more sustained. So it's a better store of value. It's a way of diversifying risk, you know, for our teaming investors across the continent, always looking for alternative solutions to what's obtainable in our local market. It also fosters regional integration. So that way, we're able to facilitate capital flows from areas of surplus to areas of deficit. If you look at the macros of, say, Nigeria and Côte d'Ivoire has a very low inflation. So in that way, for many investors, they see it as a good market for debt raising. Nigeria, on the other hand, has high inflation and high interest rates. So it's an investor's delight in terms of returns. So regardless of the divide that you play on as an investor, either raising capital or deploying capital in terms of returns, we have now bridged that gap between Francophone West Africa, characterized by stable currency, stable economies, decent returns in terms of deploying capital, and of course raising capital is quite cheap. On the Nigerian side, it's a decent environment for, of course, optimizing returns on investment. So investors can come to United Capital now knowing that we have an expanded value proposition in terms of providing decent returns on investment, and they can also look forward to value accretion to the group as shareholders. So
this aligns with your broader Pan-African plan in short?
Yes, definitely. It aligns with our broader Pan-African plan. Our WAEMU zone is strategic for us because with one license, we're able to cover the 8 countries you just reeled out, and all 8 countries use a single currency. So in essence, we are really not just in Côte d'Ivoire. We're able to operate across 8 West African countries. So that's bridging the gaps in financial inclusion across 8 countries, across a population of 147 million people, with a stable currency that has been around 580 to 600 to the US dollar in the last 5 years. Inflation is as low as 2.5%. And Côte d'Ivoire has been one of Africa's fastest growing economies, since the last 5 to 10 years, averaging 6% GDP growth, annually. So it's a great market for us to be positioned at this time. And more importantly, we are now able to serve those local markets, able to provide the expertise we have developed over our 6-decade operations in Nigeria to expose them to financial education first and see how they can optimize returns on their investment. It was interesting to note that we had very good reception by the president of the country when we had delegates from United Capital and, of course, Heirs Holdings pay a courtesy visit. So it's good times ahead, great tidings ahead. It's a great time to be a client and investor of United Capital.
Interesting stuff. But how will your operations now positively impact development and, of course, growth of WAEMU region, particularly the financial ecosystem?
Yeah, it's interesting now because now we are coming to provide complementary solutions to what typical financial service providers offer in those markets. Like I mentioned earlier, many of the players in that market see it as more of a debt market because interest rates are relatively low, the economy is relatively stable. Now, we bring in our expertise in terms of capital raising, in terms of investment management, portfolio management, investment advisory, stock broking, wealth management. The bouquet of solutions we have here in Nigeria at the group, we're able to deploy that expertise locally in that market. And most of our approach in that market will not really be extractive. So we won't see that market as where we'll be heavily transactional. But almost everything we make there would remain there to stimulate and reflate its economy. We're going to hire its locals. 99.9% of the employees of our new subsidiary are purely Ivorian. Yeah, so that shows that we are creating jobs in that market. All the employees there, of course, depend on the operating policies of our group. So that way we are transferring knowledge, we're transferring expertise. We're also going to be able to facilitate cross-border capital flows, especially to areas in those markets where we see opportunities. So in essence, we'll be connecting our clients here to opportunities in that market and vice versa, connect clients, in those markets to opportunities here in Nigeria. And that's what the AFSCA is all about, fostering regional integration, regional trade. Yes, across the continent. So operating in diverse markets helps us bridge that divide in access to financial services.
Well, your final message, Nicole, what message will you want to leave with investors and stakeholders watching this chart?
Okay, it's interesting times ahead. For investors, I'll classify them into 2 parts. Investors who are clients, looking for stable returns, looking to diversify risk, looking to earn in a stable currency. Yeah, United Capital is now a one-stop shop. We are internationally operating now in a market outside of Nigeria in a currency that's really stable. And I see it's good times ahead for the Nigerian economy because the dependence on, say, advanced currencies like the dollar, euro, doesn't have to be so much, and because certain African currencies are also very stable. So if we're able to foster trade, within the African region, it also helps, our balance of trade. And then to investors who are shareholders of United Capital, of course, you can look towards value accretion to the group. So it's interesting times ahead, I must say. Thank you.
It's a great one. We hope to have you in again, maybe to talk about all of this, see how it goes when everything is it's operational already, right?
Yes, it is operational.
We just, do some assessments and see how it plays out. Thank you so much. Interesting chart. I've been speaking to Ejikeme Okoli. He is the Director, African Operations at United Capital, a youth like me. Thank you so much. It's good to have you. Interesting chat. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Well, we'll come back